Hey guys, I just want to go over the form that I did for this arrangement of the preacher for 4 horns, and just show you a few things that I chose to do. Whether you would, if you're arranging this along with, you may choose to do something different. But I'll just give you some choices that I made and some of the reasons why I made them. So maybe you can learn from that. So basically, as we discussed earlier, this is a 32 bar tune, but it's really just 16 bars repeated. So what I did was I added an introduction. Pretty much kind of goes along with the tune as far as the last few bars. What I did was I added an introduction that I used as an interlude between other sections. So I'm not going to play this for you because I can't play it through my computer and have a microphone as well. So still trying to figure that out. But we'll just go through it real quick and show you a few things that I did. So I had to be careful. One thing I had to be careful with is the range of the trumpet. Always try to keep it in the staff for the smaller groups. You don't want to get everything out of kilter. The only thing that you may have trumpet higher up would be if it's in unison and you have like multiple octaves going on. And if you have like a horn thing, for a pop tune or something. But I'm talking about a jazz combo here. So what I did was I included vocal in this because there are words to this tune, and I made it so that you could have a vocalist with the band, vocalist just with the rhythm section and leaving out parts of the horns, but it works well with both together because I have the same rhythm in the horns as I do in the vocalist, so it should work fine. So one thing about a tune like this is because it's simple, you need to kind of have some variety going on, but you can't make it too, out there and weird. So I started with basically melodic couplings in the saxes, and that's a nice range for saxes. Comes out real well, and they pretty much cover, along with the vocalist, the first 12 bars or so. At the end there, because I wanted to kind of have a little seamless thing, I brought in the trumpet and trombone and had more of an ensemble right at the end here. And then I went into the ensemble for the second 16. So we have a little bit of smaller density or less density in the beginning, and now I started to harmonize out the horn players. But as you can see, it does start out in unison. So we've got 4 people and the vocalist in unison, and then we branch out into harmony. I won't get into any kind of voicings here because I just want to talk about the structure and the form of what I chose to do. So basically harmonized out the melody through the entire ensemble until we get back to the, this is the intro, but it's really an interlude into the first solo. So I could have gone on and had some ensemble here, but since this is a longer form, 16 bars, it's not like I suppose I could have had some ensemble going into the solo, maybe 4 bars or so, but I chose because there is kind of this break here, this natural break in the tune, I chose to have just a solo break in the trumpet there. So I did write out a trumpet solo. Obviously, I do this, for inexperienced players. At least somebody has a solo they could read if they don't have it. And remember, you get the finale files and all that. In case you want to move this solo to the alto sax or something, all you got to do is copy and paste it over and then print out the parts. So a tune like this is really just the head and solos, as many of them are. So I did an open section here. I didn't want to make this too long, and because, like I said, this is a 16 kind of bar form, 32 bar form, but multiple 16 bars. So I wanted to have some open solos. Probably won't spend too much time soloing. Everybody can maybe get 16 bars here, or maybe one person gets 32 and 2 other people get 16. So, use your judgment on that. And then, rather than go back to the head, after the solos, I have a ensemble section here. And the way I did this was I wrote out the melody and then I harmonized it below. So we'll get in more into that. Because it's a simple tune, a lot of simple changes here, this kind of a religious type of progression. I tried to, make it as interesting as I could. and have it breathe a little bit as well. So have some rests in there. The highest note, I was going to change this to a fall off, but here's two higher notes in the trumpets. I would probably never go above that because this is the melody note. I had to kind of work my way up there, and I didn't want it to be, you know, the lower you have everything in the range, the less intensity it's going to be. So at this point in the melody, I kind of want a little more intensity in the horn players. And so you can see that the voicings kind of move up a little bit. And let's see, we have a little bit of unison lines here. And you can listen to this once it's done, but basically wrapped it up with the same type of ending after the ensemble. That's 16 bars of ensemble, and then we move back into the interlude, going back into the melody. So this would probably be about a 4-minute tune, 4 to 5 minutes. I know some of you were complaining that they were too long, but this ought to be fine, especially if you limit the solos. So here's where I did a little change. I didn't want the same thing as I had in the beginning. So remember that in the last video tutorial, I kind of said that I would be nice to have like a little bit of a Dixieland thing here along with the saxes. So there's 3 sets of lyrics, and this is the last one. So now the sermon's over, he'd leave town, so on and so forth. So this works out well as it comes to lyrics. So anyway, the saxes pick up just like they did, and I have a little bit of like counterline here in the trombone. And the way I chose some of those notes was that I didn't want them to be the same notes as these guys up here. So you can see, well, I guess there's one, F and F, but probably change that and go back down to C. I don't know. We'll have to figure that out. But I always go back at the very end and I look at everything and I make really small tweaks. So every time I go through it, I tweak things more and more and more. And then at the end, I add dynamics and I make sure that all articulations are there and so on and so forth. So anyway, what I did was I had the solo, I had a cup mute trumpet here, basically kind of like noodling above this melody. And then I have the trombone below it with some chord tones and basically, you know, laying out a nice line in a little bit of a Dixie style. Now you'll notice that this little thing here, this sharp 9 kind of crunch against the third, is what Horace Silver played a little bit of in the recording. So I stole that, and when you hear the recording, you'll hear that it kind of goes throughout the tune, especially when the head's being played. So I mirrored that in the trombone. I kind of mimicked it as far as what the piano player is playing, and it sounds pretty good. So the trombone player, you know, does his own thing, and then once in a while he'll jump in, and where it's applicable, he'll fill out the voicings of the saxes there. So let's see, going on, and then we pick back up again at the very end, just like we did before, with the ensemble covering the very last few bars. And then what I did was a little tag here. Sometimes you'll see 3 tags that'll be 3 times through. I only did twice through, and to be honest, I'm not done with this yet. So I have to figure out the ending. I don't want it to end too abruptly, so I'm going to figure that out. But that's basically the tune. We're probably going to come in around 118 measures or so. And that's probably about a 4.5-minute tune with some solos. So you can sit down and literally just write out kind of the form that you're thinking, and it does change, but balance is the key. So you don't want to have too many solos balancing out with the ensemble. You don't want to have too much ensemble. And you want to keep that span, weight, and density kind of mixed up a little bit. You notice when we brought back the saxes, we went from a lot of density and a lot of notes going on to just that simple melody line again and a little bit of trombone. So I think the variety's there. I think it'll be fun to play. Easy to sight read on the gig. And I think the people will like it as well. So more on the voicing part in the next time through. Thanks.